The Morning Dump from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Back with you on Morning Dump here on Hurrdat Sports alongside Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, Shane Schillerberg with us. The extension of Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, and it's the best place to continue conversations that we either didn't get to or need to expand on. And in this case, because of the jam-packed weekend, we didn't get to a lot because we don't have enough time on Coffee and Cream.
I say, hey, hold that thought.
Whoa, really?
Oh, yeah.
Tell the people.
Oh, no, we can't yet. It's a lot happening here. Movers and shakers. It's almost like folks were like, oh, my gosh, we're launching something new. You've never done this before. Will it work? Yeah, we're off to a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so you want more? Let's see if we can make that happen somehow.
We're men of the people.
Well, one man, one child.
I don't know.
Whatever you call Shane, he's the tweener.
I'll tell you what.
Take that monkey off our back.
Exactly, KP.
Shane's the size of a 12-year-old.
Yeah. I act like
you are a 12-year-old.
Yes.
And I have probably the brain of a 12-year-old.
And you can babysit 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
There
it is.
Team player.
You know what? That's what I'm here for.
Play on, player.
Let's get into the college football playoff. The rankings officially set, and it looks like this. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State. DB, I'll start off. I think the committee got it right.
I do too. As much as I did not want Ohio State in, I see what happened. My biggest gripe, it's not Ohio State. It's why do we look at Tennessee,
one step below
Utah, and USC differently? USC is Tennessee, and they actually played for a conference championship, and they have their quarterback, although he isn't healthy.
Yeah, he played on one leg.
Listen, I've never – you know this because we've talked about this if folks are just catching up on the morning dumps. I've never been all in on Tennessee. I haven't. Mm-hmm. They're explosive, and I love Hyatt, and I love Hooker. And
defensively, they just weren't there. Same with USC.
But that's
Same with
the
USC.
Trojans, except they played in the conference championship. I don't get
and they beat so many ranked teams just like Tennessee
I don't get
did.
the great distinction between Tennessee and USC.
It's a great comparison. Hendon Hooker, Caleb Williams.
And one guy's at least healthy and playing. Or healthier.
Yeah, I was going to say both are. Both are a little unhealthy.
But it's like, are you guys watching television? Tennessee is atrocious defensively. And they get the benefit of the doubt as like the 6th spot. I mean, whatever. But I do like the fact that, listen, Ohio State, Georgia, let's go. Michigan,
Great
TCU,
first game.
Let's go.
And that Michigan TCU games really piques my interest for a couple of reasons. One, no Blake Corum.
You love Max Duggan.
That is true, but no Blake Corum on the Michigan side. Yeah, not to say that they
got some fellas.
They have a lot of depth at that position, but Blake Corum will not be playing in that game. But Michigan's defense is something to proclaim about. Meanwhile, TCU goes as Max Duggan goes, and in that game against K-State, they should have given him the football once, maybe twice.
Hey, were you screaming at your television quarterback sneak?
Yes, because do you remember Chicago Bears?
Do you remember?
Against the Packers in week 2, I think it was. Same type of situation. But when it comes to Max Duggan.
So it's always about the Bears.
It is. Well, I draw comparison to my teams. You draw comparisons to your teams.
The Bears.
But when it comes to Max Duggan, like he's the engine, right? He gets those guys to go. Now, I do think they got shafted. I believe he was in on 3rd down. I don't care if you think the camera angle was a little bit positioned behind. What is the point of having replay if you're not even going to look at it?
Take care of the ball.
Take care of the ball. He crossed the line.
He did not cross the line.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Not a chance.
Yeah, if we went around the globe and we rotated a bit further.
Who you? Kyrie
Irving,
it's flat. You wouldn't get there.
Yeah, I did not say it's flat.
Too soon on Kyrie?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think, but we don't need to go down that.
Yeah, we haven't
because if we go Kyrie's direction, we're not coming back here. We're not coming back to this point. But no, TCU's offense is going to really intrigue me because it's either going to be they are a second-half team, right? They've been a second-half team all year. Can they come out of the gate strong enough to keep Michigan in check? And that's important because Purdue did that. Purdue made that happen. They just didn't have the conditioning to go the distance against that top-tier offense, defense Michigan brings.
Not to be lost in all this, how good is Kansas State in terms of how well coached they are?
And K-State is a fantastic team when it comes to just play calling. That's something that I really admire, too, because without Adrian Martinez, you went to a backup, the last 3 games?
And my man could throw it around the yard. They were actually pretty impressive. And
Deuce Vaughn's a stud.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's way good. And I don't know. It's not because I like K-State, Toledo, and Utah. When we were doing our picks last week.
Yeah, DB killed it.
Which was very nice.
What'd you go, 5 for 5?
Yeah. And predicted that Clemson would roll Carolina.
And I was with you there.
That was going to be your top pick. Did it end up being, or did you I can't remember what you liked in place of, but we both right away, because I remember in the close you go, hey, and I'm all in on Clemson and this, that, and the other. But how about our guy? And we'll get to the portal here in a second. DJU is yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, he's not going to be the guy. Klubnik is the dude.
Well, and he played well.
Yeah,
he balled out.
He played his rear end off.
So DJU, where does he go?
I don't know.
Is he the top quarterback in the portal? Because
it depends on
NC State's boy went to the portal too.
It depends on what you like. They've got some quarterbacks now.
And the kid from NC State, he may be one of the more consistent quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was surprised to see him leave just because of Doreen and kind of what he's meant to that program. But, boy, that one is going to be interesting. But before we get too far off of what K-State or TCU and whatever, you know me. And we kind of got into it when we were talking high school with Sauter, and he was talking about a putback dunk. And I was like, I just don't want to get caught up in the moment. I can like sports. But were you vibing with the whole Heisman, Max Duggan drive thing real time on social media?
No.
I was like, the guy's barely completing. And I like Max. I actually know Max, so it's kind of weird. But it's we finished at 50%, one touchdown, one interception. What is everybody seeing that I'm missing for the Heisman moment? Was it the stats leading up to it? Because if that's the case, okay. But I wasn't getting that sense throughout the course of the game at all.
Well,
at all.
In this game, because people saw Caleb Williams lose, it was easy to attach to Max and say he wins this, he's been second fiddle in this race, that he has a good shot. But people need to realize that
I'm
just
not
because
a
you're
prisoner of the moment guy.
Well, just because you're the best team doesn't mean you're winning the Heisman. Yeah. And the perfect example is Stetson Bennett. If you want to go one step further, the perfect example for MVP this year in the NFL isn't Jalen Hurts. It's Patrick Mahomes. And even though the Eagles have the best record in football.
Oh, that's kind of a hot take. Well, I let
Patrick
you get away with
Mahomes has the better stats. And you look at the stats of Caleb Williams opposed to Max Duggan, and they are separated by 1,000 passing yards. Touchdowns, Caleb Williams wins that too. Interceptions, they're about the same. So there's nothing about just because Caleb Williams lost that game in the Pac-12 championship will not be in the college football playoff. There's nothing about my reasoning to think that Max Duggan is all of a sudden going to take that step up above him. The stats just don't don't match.
Totally with you. I am.
And I'm a Max guy.
I'm lock, stock with you.
And that's something that I looked at with Drake May halfway through the season. I said his stats make him a Heisman quarterback. He doesn't have to be on the best team, on the best football team out there, but you take strength of schedule into account, into all of this, into the cauldron. You pour it all in and you mix it up.
Nice use of.
And you're making a good soup, right? What makes the best soup? Is it Caleb Williams or is it Max Duggan? And in this case, it's Caleb Williams.
Obviously, as a voter, we can get to that once the results are released next week. But I'm just not gonna be held in the moment for knee-jerk things. You know what I mean? So I liked a lot. Let things play out, especially if you don't watch a lot of football. But I felt like social media was a little over the top, real time, even if as well as TCU was playing. I mean, what was being overlooked was Dykes and what he did with that football team this year in terms of Coach of the Year candidacy talk. Like I would have been into that more. I liked Duggan as a contender going in. So hear my heart there. I just didn't think that performance like cemented the fact that he had gone whatever it was, 29-3 or whatever the gaudy stats were in conference play for Duggan. So I thought that game was more about Kleiman and KSU's approach and how they played that football game. And Vegas lets you know they felt like K-State was comparable. It was just, it was 1.5, 1, whatever you got. And I was more probably impressed with K-State's fortitude, and they withstood the late flurry and held on in overtime.
We're Max Duggan guys. Council Bluffs kid. We root for him.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt. But we look at this objectively, and just based on how things align, it just doesn't look like a Heisman Trophy is in the cards for Max Duggan. He will be a finalist, no doubt. He'll be sitting first row, waiting to hear his name called.
If he's not, there's a problem.
Correct. But I think what he's worried about right now is the college football playoff. He's not worried about the Heisman Trophy. He cares so much about this team, and you could see that because of how worked up he was in his presser after the Big 12 championship game. He wanted that game so bad for his team, and he felt he let his team down. Mm-hmm. And this is somebody that, hey, Max, if you didn't play, you wouldn't have competed in this game. And I say you as in TCU would not have been a true competitor in this football game. There were a lot that kind of shook up down the stretch of that game, fourth quarter going into overtime, but you led that team back. This is a game TCU was trailing. Second half proved to be great again for that school, and they were able to take it to overtime and give it their all. But he was so worked up, it just goes to show that he's in it for the right reasons.
Of the quarterback play that you saw the last couple of days, whether it was McCarthy or Duggan, Caleb Williams. You could go to Utah because I think Cam Rising
was great.
Really, really tough. Like when you look at like quarterback play, Daniels, your guy down there in Georgia who's so maligned, and Stetson Bennett the fourth who I actually like. When you look at quarterback play, who would you have taken this weekend? Because I think it's kind of clear-cut for me.
So, in regards to this past weekend?
Yep, quarterback play. If you were just watching quarterback
am I just choosing one quarterback?
Yeah.
JJ didn't do anything overly impressive, in my opinion. Stetson Bennett controls that offense like nobody's business.
See, I'm taking Rising or Caleb Williams. And their rating was almost identical. Caleb Williams threw the pick, but equally as efficient. I think the quarterback rating was 82 to 81.6. But I thought when you looked at quarterback play, even 11 of 17, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception was what I think McNamara was for Michigan. I wasn't watching that game, and I was like, oh, man, they're going to win because of JJ. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I looked at it. I looked at SC and Utah before Utah rolled late. That was all about quarterback play.
Mm-hmm. Georgia has such a great team altogether.
It's whenever they get ready. When they feel like flipping a switch, eesh.
They took down LSU like nobody could have imagined in that game.
Stetson Bennett was filthy, though.
He's a great quarterback, but guess what? He's surrounded by a ton of great people, too. It's what made Joe Burrow's numbers look so awesome at LSU.
No turnovers, right, for Ben?
I think so. I think you're right when you hit that.
So I think he went 4 touchdowns, no picks.
And I'm not saying Joe Burrow didn't deserve to be the number 1 overall pick. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, hands down. But when I look at that LSU team.
He's so poised.
When I look at that LSU team, they were surrounded by, 20 first-round draft picks? Like, it was insane. It reminds me of Georgia.
And I'm that guy. I'd much rather play with good players.
Mm-hmm. I think Max Duggan, for me, though, was the one that because I had a subtle attachment to.
I know. I get it.
It was somebody that I really enjoyed. And TCU, like I said, TCU would not have competed without him.
He's been through the ringer. You talk about the consummate competitor. Oh, man, how are you not Team Duggan? Like, he had to fight for his job a couple years. They're going through the pandemic. Like, I mean, good on him for his resolve to have the kind of year that he did. I get it with the sentimental thing. That's for sure.
Is Casey Thompson that guy for Nebraska? Is he somebody that you latch on to like you do a Max Duggan of the world?
Well, Nebraska surround themselves. Have you seen the wide receiver room?
Mm-hmm.
Gonna need some replacing. I don't know.
And that's when you attack the portal.
I don't know if you put the ball in Casey Thompson's hands and you say, "Go win me the game."
Yeah, losing Trey Palmer is a massive loss for this team.
So that's the thing where I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know right there when I look at how both those guys are playing.
So you would put more emphasis on adding wide receivers than you were flip-flopping Casey for somebody else in the portal?
Right. Given right now where I think Nebraska's roster is, that wide receiver room is scary thin.
Is there a better quarterback out there than Casey Thompson?
Oh, it depends on how you utilize some of these guys. The quarterback portal is going to be very, very interesting. I mean, DJ will be highly sought after. Big, strong guy. I think the thing that Coach Satterfield can say when he's talking to some of these quarterbacks is he's been part of some reformation projects. I mean, he rehabbed Spencer Rattler. He's shown that patience through the system can garner you some results. I mean, remember, they put it on Tennessee and Clemson offensively, and so I think there's a pitch to be made for Coach Sat. But, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. There'll be some quarterbacks, and today's portaling day. Like, it's going to move, and there'll be a lot of guys, and we'll see if Deion Sanders leaves anybody left for the rest of college football because – whatever was going on yesterday,
that press conference. Can you imagine being a student athlete for Colorado and thinking, "Hey, I'm going to be playing football here"?
Is he talking to me?
Right.
That's what I would have been saying. Is he talking to me? Is he talking to me? Should I be looking for something else different to do? He said he's bringing his guys.
And everybody.
Yeah. So
he wasn't saying like, "Hey, we're bringing in 3 guys. Yeah. These guys are going to be the difference."
So you know what I think he's after, and people will take him at his word, like literally, like get out. What he's saying is either get on the bus, because that was the context of what he was saying. Get on the bus and let's move in this direction, or you got to go find something else different to do. Right? Because if you can play, I'll figure it out. If you can't play, you're in a got-to-go situation.
So, yeah, he draws a lot of athletes his direction just because of his name, for one. But he also added to his image by what he did at Jackson State. And so now it's like opposed from being a double whammy, like now it's he's double dipping in the portal. Like he can go in there with the same chip 5 times and get the best 5 guys coming out.
Full disclosure, he's top 5 favorite athletes of all time. I'm the guy, and before you sound off, just understand it's morning dump and we can't spend the next 20 minutes arguing. I'm the guy, I'm going to say this out loud. See, I take Deion over Bo in terms of dual sport best athletes of all time.
Bo Pelini, really? Wow, that's crazy.
Here we go. That lets me know you ride with Bo Jackson.
No, I don't care.
Right, yes.
Listen to me here.
My affinity is definitely for
Listen
Deion.
to me here. I wasn't around for either of those guys.
Yeah, good point. Shane, I'm saved. Shane would fight me over Bo Jackson, obviously, because he has this misguided thing of how good he was for the Raiders, and if he would have played full time, and
aren't they the same? Aren't they one and the same?
Shane's a big projection guy. Well, if he would have, the fact remains he didn't.
Well, I mean,
here we go.
Here's his voice.
You don't have to take my word for it, but I can tell you what Howie Long said about him. And if anybody's going to know talent.
He played with Bo.
But I'm just saying he was there.
That doesn't make him impartial.
He was there on the sideline, and he just says that he's like the greatest athlete ever.
He might have been.
Now, don't quote me on that. Don't send that to Howie Long.
He didn't play 2 pro games in one day and make Tim McCarver mad.
No, he did not.
Where's that Tim McCarver?
Bo Jackson.
Real classy, Dion. Real classy. That was weird.
Dion could play at an all-star level in both, obviously, as we know. Bo Jackson could play at an all-star level in both, as we know. But Bo Jackson he had the ability to do just a little bit more.
Hot take, Shane.
Just a little bit more as far as, he had that ability just to be a little bit more amazing.
Ooh.
Because he threw a ball 380 feet in the air to hose a guy at home plate because he scaled a wall.
He's pretty amazing.
Hey, let me tell you.
Because he ran over Brian Bosworth en route down the tunnel in the Kingdome in Seattle, which doesn't even exist anymore.
I would say
How
yes.
about this, though, Liquid Shano? How about being a guy in which you played a position in which you're the standard?
He was the standard.
You're the GOAT. You're the one guy at your position that no one argues with as the greatest ever. Are we going to act like that's not a thing?
So you're saying Deion Sanders was the greatest?
There's 200 center fielders that have been better than Bo Jackson.
Center fielder?
Amen to that.
There's
Amen to that.
25 NFL running backs that are better than Bo Jackson off the top of my head.
I don't know about that many.
Listen, I'm into production. I'm not talking about potential. If you're starting a season tomorrow and you're taking Bo Jackson over LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk,
No shot.
Jim Brown, Gale Sayers,
If I'm starting a season tomorrow,
knowing what you know, not getting full-time Bo, what are we talking about?
If I'm starting a season tomorrow and it's Bo versus Deion, I'm taking Deion.
Hey, great defensive backs don't come along as far.
I wouldn't. I'm not going to fight you over that, Shane. I get it, man. You're a Bo guy.
Hey, Deion Sanders, did he ever take a photo with shoulder pads and a baseball bat?
Did he have great Nike commercials?
Oh, Lord. Well.
Thanks. That's Mean Joe. No, that's Coke.
So
Thanks, Mean
you
Joe.
just look at Deion, OPS 711, slugging percentage obviously
Get a
low.
Slurpee with that?
OBP 319, career 263 hitter. Didn't have the power, but he was more than a good base. He was more than an average baseball player. He was pretty good.
Don't put that crap on me.
And he's the best at his position ever in Major League Baseball. Why do we poo-poo prime time? Why? Why do we poo-poo him? Is it the prowess of Bo Nose?
Now he gets
because he didn't really lift weights. He could do push-ups and he could do a slingshot and like kill Goliath.
Now he gets the chance to be the best ever Buffs coach ever.
I'm really just being facetious here.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with facetious. I like Bo. I just would take Deion.
Well, like I said, I would take Deion too, but Bo was much better. It's a different time period.
Like I said, I'd take Deion too, but
It's
Bo was
not a
much
different
better.
time period.
But now
early 80s, late 80s, it's not a different time period.
No, I'm saying if you're starting a team today, you're going to take a cornerback.
All
over
I
a
know
running
is
back
one guy gets
all day
the
long.
if he would have thing.
All day long.
The other guy doesn't. So if you're stretching it on what could be based on potential, if he would have done something, then he ain't the guy.
I'm stretching it on the ability to make an amazing play.
My man could scale a wall and hose a dude from about 400 feet in the outfield, though.
Break bats over
Hey,
his
look,
knees.
they were
like
both
it was nothing.
insane.
Dude, have you seen his quads?
He broke bats over his knees like it was nothing.
Fudge. It hurt
over
me
his
just watching.
head.
He just
over his
snapped
head.
that thing.
Yeah.
I do like Bo, though. I'm just getting Shane gassed up. Back to the college football.
Yeah, back to the
transfer portal.
Yeah, let's
right?
go to the
DJU.
transfer portal, please. Can we talk a little bit about DJU? I mean, because Clemson destroyed North Carolina, but DJU wasn't the quarterback in that game. And I was texting with a buddy because he goes, dude, did Clemson change quarterbacks? And I'm like, what? And I wasn't really paying all that much attention to it. I actually was paying.
I think he had 2 or 3 and outs, and they're like, yeah, we're good.
I was paying closer attention to the defense getting healthier for
Yeah.
Clemson, and that's what drove me to pick 7.5, which that line I think moved to 8.5 by game start.
How good is Brisset up front?
Well, he's not small.
Man. And what he's been through, how are you not cheering for that guy and his family?
I'm a huge fan of what Clemson has been able to put together late in the season. But DJU has a ton of talent. A ton of talent.
Are you a Sweeney guy?
I am.
Like Sweeney Todd or Dabo Sweeney?
Dabo.
have you seen Sweeney Todd?
No.
That's not funny. It's
funny to me because I only knew one.
It's an obscure random movie. Wasn't that good? Don't
The
worry.
barber of Sweeney Todd.
Yes, Shane.
Hey,
yes.
by the way, can I say one other thing about Bo Jackson?
Absolutely not.
Here's one last thing. at that time period, who were people going to? They were going to Raider games. They were going to Royals games just because they wanted to see.
They
Bo
wanted
Jackson.
to see Shane Schillerberg.
They wanted to see Bo Jackson.
That's what they wanted to see.
You weren't getting that.
But there's a big distinction there, Shaner. Is he the more popular or the better? Because it's the
he
same.
Was a popular.
The same thing can be said about Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is still the most popular baseball player of all time, but is he the best baseball player of all time?
And you got to go by position too, because you already know that Bo Jackson's going to get his chance to touch the ball way more than Dion is in either sport. I mean, it's just the way, because in football you're going to get handed the ball off to, a lot, whereas when you're
in football it makes sense. I mean, weren't they both outfielders?
But I meant it just in football though.
Okay.
So
Shane,
I'm just saying, take Bo Jackson over Dion now.
Listen, Kirby Puckett or Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
See?
Hey, Kirby Puckett or Bo Jackson?
Kirby Puckett. Okay.
Let's go again. Come on, guys.
I'm taking Bo Jackson now.
Marshall Faulk or Bo Jackson?
Marshall Faulk.
Okay. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. What are we talking about?
What, are you going to go Darryl Strawberry or Bo Jackson?
Daryl.
Are you going to go Dale Murphy or Bo Jackson?
I mean, I'm not a Dale Murphy guy. But I grew up in the era of TBS.
Are you going to go Andre Dawson or
Bo
Jackson?
This is a great segment. I'm going to write this down. Are you going to go? And then, it's kind of like our one's got to go or take it or leave it, but I'm going to write this down. This is a good future segment here.
Are you
like
gonna
Michigan
go,
Land said, Shane, you crazy.
Are you going to go Dave Winfield or Bo Jackson?
Dude, stop.
Carlos
Beltran or Reggie Jackson? Wait, that's right. They're basically the same guy.
Are you going to go Tony Gwynn or Bo Jackson?
Hey, you think that's a hot take?
No, I love
St.
Carlos
Louis
Beltran.
Guy, yeah, you should know. The Dodger killer. Carlos, go to Baseball Stats Reference or do any fan graphs. They're basically the same player.
I'm a big fan graph guy.
Look at the comps for Carlos Beltran.
Compilation.
And
the funny thing about
by the way, congratulations to former Brave, Shane's crime dog, Fred McGriff.
You know the funny, are you going to go Fred Griff or are you going to go Bo Jackson?
Fred McGriff, highly more productive. I don't need the splash. Take a bite out of crime, Shane.
The
funny thing is, I'm going to forget about this segment after we're done here, and then I'm going to.
I'd forget about it too because you're crazy.
And then I'm going to turn my Twitter on at about 3:00 this afternoon.
They're going to be like, Shane, you're right. Shane, you're right.
No, they're going to be like, why the hell are you so dumb, Shane? I'm going to have so much.
Shane,
I'm going to have so much.
You have
hate.
a better argument than you think.
I'm going to have so much hate.
I'm just passionate because one of the guys is the best of all time at a position, which I think automatically gives him the nod. I mean, call me cray-cray.
Done deal.
I'm probably basing it more on football than I am on baseball.
Yeah. Are you going to Raleigh or are you going to Clemson, South Carolina for your quarterback, given if you had to pick?
I would go to Clemson.
Ooh, that's tough. It's very tough, Drew Down.
Where would you go?
I think I'd go to Raleigh.
Really?
Yeah, something about Uiagalelei that's like makes me think he's hitched to a wagon.
So the reason I like DJU is because of his overall explosiveness. He can do the dual threat thing.
Kinda.
But he can succeed at it more.
Why didn't they turn
than my
him
guy
loose?
in Raleigh? Is it coaching? Did you want me to answer that?
I don't know if you know, but Dave was supposed to be coming here. Where were you with all the rumors?
And that's
totally. It is totally on you, Doc. It's totally on you.
We're gonna be all right.
Hey, I don't even recognize what we're doing right now because the dump has gotten away from us.
Yeah, it was all over the place today. Kind of how
no big deal.
Sometimes it started off with us.
In a little while, that could be how the show goes too. If you want to be entertained, we will entertain. Shane, are you not entertained?
Do you want to ask Doc about Deion Sanders?
Is that not why we are here?
Well, and look, if I'm listening to a show right now, I can speak for everybody else. I know what they're thinking. If I'm listening to this show right now,
do I detect no sarcasm?
I'm okay with bouncing all over the place because I'm vacuuming in different rooms right now, right? I got the vacuum in the kitchen, then we go to the family room, and now we're in the dining room.
Is your kitchen carpeted?
No hardwood.
Are you using the Roomba? Well, you can't,
I don't.
You can't vacuum in the kitchen. You
Sure
can.
can.
You vacuum hardwood?
Oh yeah. There are settings on vacuums that allow you to
I know,
vacuum
but does
on
that
hardwood.
work? Because it seems a little.
So I vacuum and then I mop.
Oh, I'm a Swiffer guy, so I'm kind of with
Team Swiffer.
you. Yeah.
Team Swiffer.
What is
So you like it? You like Devin Leary?
Shane, that's totally on me. Yes, I do.
Do you want to ask?
Devin Leary's very, very, very good.
Do you want to ask
consistent.
Doc about what he thinks of Bo Jackson?
I do. What, Doc?
Exciting.
Do you want to ask him what he thinks of Deion
6,800 yards
That's no big deal.
and 62 touchdowns
Dude,
for
I'm-
Devin Leary.
I know. I'm a Leary guy. I'd take Leary over Will Levis. Everybody's fawning over Will Levis. That guy
Yeah, you know
throws the
my-
ball to the other team all the time.
You know my opinion on that.
I'm like, what are we talking about, fellas? Yeah, Shane, what are we talking about?
What about the kid at
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
Me neither.
What about the BYU O lineman that is kind of being talked about
Gonna be
potentially
high-
coming
hey,
to
gonna be highly
Nebraska,
sought after.
right?
Yeah, gonna be highly sought after.
Barrington?
It's hard to play with Sataki and not be tough. Seriously, like that's a tough guy, coach.
What about the Ball State running back?
I don't know enough yet. You know, I got to go back and kind of carve it up. I
Who's
don't
that?
want
Carson Steele,
Still,
right?
Yeah, I don't want to fall in love with statistics, but I'm going to ask my guys over at Northern Illinois because I know some folks over there that are really good to me. So I'm going to see what I can figure out. I do know that I like the running backs coach that's going to be at Nebraska. If you're going to get a running back, I'm E.J. Barthel. I'm all in.
And coaching is something that still needs to be talked about, too. We talked about it a little bit last week, but
That's
we'll
what
get
tomorrow's
into
for.
more of that on Coffee and Cream in the morning. But what's the shakeup looking like? Because when we exited our conversation, that's the coaching staff that we talked about. That's the coaching staff that's still today.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been really any news. Now, you did mention Jim Leonard's name may be off the market now.
Yeah, I believe he's committed. First of all, I don't think he was ever coming to Lincoln, so I wasn't going to get in that conversation.
But I meant off the market entirely when it comes to like NFL.
Even though, selfishly,
selfish.
like, I'm not going to say
Selfish.
Out of spite?
that. No, that's a whole different. When we
Yeah,
get
I
into
know. I
when we
gotcha.
get into recruiting in the high school ranks,
I'm there. It took me 4 seconds, but I'm there.
There's a discussion to be had there, but no, I don't think he was coming to Lincoln. But if he stays in Wisconsin, I think the fan base wins. It would be the best of both worlds.
Plenty of more to talk about tomorrow, and here's a little teaser for Coffee and Cream. It's the Big Ten Whip, which means we are talking to a friend from Ohio State who just made their way into the college football playoff.
How about that? You get
It
your
makes
teeth
sense.
kicked in the conference championship, but you're sitting pretty because people like you because they know you're talented.
We start with Ohio State, and then we go to Indiana, because guess who plays Indiana to open the season? Robin Washit, and I. We both kind of alluded to it, but that is Nebraska, and they are coming off. You know what happens when you win 3 games?
You call
That's
that a winning streak. You and Lou Brown.
By the way, speaking of the college playoffs, what do you guys think of Saban's
Saban's remark?
I wasn't buying it.
Look.
How about my man talking about point spreads, though?
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I'm saying here. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You put Alabama up against, because he's like, if you put Alabama up against Ohio State, you put them up against TCU, who would be favored? Hey, guess what, Nick Saban? How many games did you lose this year that you were favored in?
No, I understand.
And
Exactly.
why do you get special treatment? And I told
Exactly.
I texted DB once I saw USC lose, and then I saw TCU lose, I texted him and I said, it's fixed. They're getting Bama in here. That's the first thing that
But
came
I
out of my
just
mind.
didn't think that Bama
out of my
could
mouth.
jump Ohio State. And I
And
felt
they-
like TCU was safe.
And once they went to OT, they were absolutely safe. They could have went. Say they lost by 15, they may have dropped from
feel you.
3 to 4.
I feel you.
But I don't even know if they would have dropped out
Yeah.
with one loss, and that loss coming in the conference championship. But plenty more to get into tomorrow. We touch on the 2 guests. We'll touch on the coaching staff once again. Maybe we'll talk even more about the portal, because we have to. As DB said, the window's open now.
Reportedly.
And it's a window of opportunity for Matt Rule and this staff, and they've made it known that they aren't taking this opportunity lightly either.
They'll be very careful with how they portal.
But they're also on the highway right now.
Yeah.
They're going 65, 70, 80 miles an hour, and they're trying to get their people in quick,
Yep.
but they have to, right? If you want to be ready for spring, You have to be able to get these guys in.
And a full cycle of winter conditioning doesn't help. But he's going to try to take a big class. I don't think.
And he's done it before.
Yeah.
Remember what he did at Baylor? He had to grab, 35 guys to make a full roster?
I think he gets a good-sized class here.
So a lot to pay attention to. The only source of your information should be right here. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, and then the extended version here on Morning Dump, plus Benning Bites in the morning and the Sports Six-Pack in the afternoon. Those podcasts on Hurrdat Sports, just type it in, Hurrdat Sports. If you're looking for the podcast for the radio show, that's Hail Varsity Radio. Type in Hail Varsity Radio wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple. You'll see Coffee and Cream, the full link. It's, a 2-hour show, hour 45 without commercials?
We're working on it.
We're getting there. It may even be longer here soon. Hold tight there and hold tight for tomorrow because we'll be back then.